Everyone, it's Melissa with the M Word. If you're new here, I have an 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And today is a collaboration with Devine from Calm in the Chaos and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool, and it's our year-end reflections. So I have my binder from the year. As of recording this, we're not quite done with our school year. We are technically year-round homeschoolers. However, I do usually like to give my kids all of July off if at all possible. So I guess we'll see. I'll let you know kind of what we've done so far. My weekly checklist, which I do have a Dropbox link I will try to show you guys. I will link it below. You can get this spreadsheet from. I just ask that you don't reproduce it or give it to anybody else, but you can use it for yourself. So let's get started with what we've done so far. This is our book list that I've remembered, what I've remembered to write down. It looks like we have read September 12th. We Know Everything Would Be All Right. That was an okay book. It was sweet. Say Boo was an October book, or a Halloween book. Thanksgiving in the Woods. We read that as part of a Thanksgiving unit study. We did Squanto's Journey. We did Cranberry Thanksgiving. Cobweb Christmas, Oscar and the Eight Blessings. The Nutcracker Comes to America. Painted Skies. The Shortest Day. The Solstice Badger, Christmas Trolls, Tree of Cranes, Grendel and Beowulf, oh, not Grendel and Beowulf, and Tree of Cranes. Those were all part of our Christmas unit study. Those were good. Grendel and the Beowulf, that was a book that we read because my kids were doing History Quest, and Beowulf was one of the things they were supposed to read about. Little People, Big Dreams, Muhammad Ali, I Am Martin Luther King Jr., The Wild Robot, The Lorax, Green Eggs and Ham, Stay Wild, My Child, I Am the Solar System, Ants, Reptiles, DK Find Out Science, Rainforest, Bees and Wasps, Jade Dragon. Oh, the Jade Dragon was actually a really, really good book. It was one of those The Good and the Beautiful books that we got from one of their summer reading programs, I think last year. I read it this year as a read aloud, and that was really a good book. I was really impressed with it. The Halloween Tree, On Halloween, This Is a Dog, 14 Cows for America, The Arabian Nights, Fireboat, Charlotte and the Nutcracker are also other things that we read this school year. I know I did a horrible job though at fully making sure everything was wrote down that we read, especially some of the shorter books. And we're currently reading Echo Mountain, and we're reading The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me. And actually, this is really cute too. I think it came from the School Age Summer Knowledge Crate. 4 unit studies. We did the Human Body study. We did that. We finished that. That was in August. We did a 9/11 study. That was through August 29th through September 9th that we did. Animal Kingdoms. We did that from Heron Books. We did 3 weeks study in October and September. There was a Halloween unit study that I pulled together that was kind of using the books from Barefoot Within the Trees, but not with their actual unit study, but I do have their unit study now for this coming school year. We did skip our election unit. I didn't end up having time for it, so I skipped it. We did a Thanksgiving unit. I ordered the Thanksgiving unit from Campfire Curriculums, I think, is where I got it from. I think. I'm not sure where. It's in the basement now, so I don't even know. Can't even show it to you. The Christmas unit we got from Barefoot Within the Trees. That's also in the basement now, but that was super cute. I loved that. We also used the Knowledge Crate elf box over Christmas, which was also amazing. Both, I highly recommend both. They were very, very well done. The elf box made my life 1,000 times easier. It's the first time we've ever done an elf or had an elf in our home, and I was impressed at how well they made that so easy for me. And the Christmas unit from Barefoot Within the Around the Trees, that unit was just, it was a lot of fun for my kids, and it was a huge, amazing break from like normal school day life. We did a Dino unit that was from Heron Books as well. Then we did a Valentine's Day unit. We did a 1-day Pokemon unit. My daughter adored that. We did a St. Patrick's Day unit for a week where we did St. Patrick's Day crafts and ate St. Patrick's Day food and made St. Patrick's Day food. We just finished our space unit. I actually did the space unit from The Good and the Beautiful. I found that space unit more difficult than the Dino unit. The Dino unit that we did. I said only here in books. We also did a Dinah, the paleontology unit alongside that from The Good and the Beautiful. I found the paleontology unit to have less references to religion than their space unit did. I found that I was omitting a lot from their space unit, while their paleontology unit, I basically didn't have to skip anything basically. There was a few mentions here and there where I just skipped over it, but the space unit seemed to be, it was very heavy in references to the Bible and Bible verses. Our garden unit we started and we are currently working on now. And then my 4th of July unit and my ocean unit, the ocean unit was scrapped because I needed more time for the garden unit. And then I'm also starting this IQ unit, so the IQ weather unit. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in this video or the last video I just did. So that unit, we are testing that out from Timberdoodle to see how we like it. So we will be seeing how that goes for us. We also did a art unit that I forgot to write down that I got from Timberdoodle this year. It was Have I Got a Story for You, their art. We did the Renaissance, I believe is what it was. I could be wrong on which one I did. My kids adored that. Those videos are so engaging and so amazing, and I love them so much. They are worth every penny. For handwriting, we did The Good and the Beautiful handwriting. We have basically almost entirely finished that. My daughter is doing a really well job with that. She hates handwriting though, so it's the only one I can get her to do, so it's what we do. All About Reading, we completely finished All About Reading level 1 earlier this year, and we are about halfway through All About Reading level 2 with hopes to finish this up. I don't think she'll finish it up before she starts 3rd grade. I have All About Spelling level 1 is what we're currently doing. That is doing great. I've actually slowed way down in spelling on purpose because I have All About Spelling level 2, but I ordered the All About Spelling level 2 color edition from Timberdoodle, and I'm waiting on the color edition before we start it. So I slowed way down in All About Spelling 1, so we didn't fly through it too fast, because she has got spelling like down and she is amazing at it. I'm really proud of her. Daily Traits, I am not the greatest at doing that book. However, we did get most of the way through. So Daily Traits of Writing, I rip out the pages as we go, so I mean we're a good chunk through it, but we also have a good chunk to go. Basically with this book, when the school year is over and we go to start the other stuff for 3rd grade, like when I finally decide this is the start of 3rd grade, I will just chuck this one in trash and open up the next one, because it's just easier with this kind of thing, in my opinion. I could be wrong. That could be the wrong decision, but that's what we're going to do with that this year. Explode the Code. That is going wonderfully. My windows are open because it's really nice out, but I think people are starting to come home and they're getting loud. So I think I'm going to shut the windows. Hold on. Okay. So I shut my windows, but my neighbors are mowing. We haven't had rain in 2 weeks, and it just rained like a tiny bit the other day. And they have apparently decided to go ahead and mow. I have let my grass go to seed. It's only about this long and it's seeded out, but everything under it is brown and dry and sad, and I'm afraid if I mow it, it will like die off entirely. So I guess we'll see what theirs does in a day or two, and then I'll decide if I mow or not. But I'm gonna hold out. But if they're loud and obnoxious, and I'm sorry, this is the time I have to record today, so I really apologize, and I hope it doesn't bother you too much. Explode the Code. We love that. We use Explode the Code online. It's amazing. You have access to all the books, and it decides when your child should move to the next thing. It's been great for us. Night Zookeeper. My daughter does that 3 or 4 days a week. She just plays it on her iPad or on her Amazon tablet. Like it's just a game to her. It doesn't bother her. That's why I'm not too worried about finishing this, because she does that as well. So she's getting writing on 2 sides. Then we have Matthew C. She finished Matthew C Alpha, and she is like almost all the way through beta. And then we got teaching textbooks. Teaching textbooks, if you've caught earlier videos, we did end up dropping teaching textbooks entirely. It worked a little bit in the beginning for my daughter, and then it just it wasn't working. She thinks it's fun, but it was really hard for her. They don't teach her in a way that she understands, so we ended up dropping teaching textbooks, and I don't think we'll be going back to teaching textbooks at any time. History Quest, we use History Quest for our history. We did middle times this year. We are, I believe we're in chapter 22 and there are 28 chapters, so we don't have much farther to go in History Quest middle times, and then we'll be moving on to American history in 3rd grade. I have nothing bad to say about History Quest. It's been great. We love the story way it's written. We love the history hops where they get to be like dropped into that time period. We love the crafts and the recipes and all the things that come with it. Our famous figures books, we have the Middle Ages and Renaissance one. This has worked this came from Timberdoodle, and Timberdoodle actually uses this with their Story of the World, but I found it actually correlates really well with History Quest. We just go through here and I find the person that matches with the name, and then we sometimes use this in place of doing our craft, or sometimes my daughter just puts it together. She'll do the one that's not colored, or the one that's already pre-colored she'll put together if she's just listening to the story, or sometimes she'll like to color the one and put it together instead. It just kind of depends on what she's feeling on that week, and if I can find a person in here that correlates to what she is learning in here. But I love these. These are fun. I enjoy them. We have been using BookShark and BookShark Science and Building Blocks of Science. We are currently doing Building Blocks of Science 2, and we are also in Bees and Wasps and BookShark. We go through BookShark very slowly because it is a secondary science to us, and we go through Building Blocks of Science a little faster because it's just what works for us. I label all my books that are BookShark books so I know what they are, what they go to, and which book they are. But for Building Blocks of Science, I have the lab kit. I have all of it worked out for me. It has the study guide. I enjoy Building Blocks of Science, so we did go ahead and go with Building Blocks of Science for next year too. And I have that. We also have the Find Out Science. That's part of our our BookShark Science. Poetry. I've been horrible about poetry this year. I have 2 books. I have the Tiger Burning Bright, and I have Sing a Song of Seasons. And I was great about Sing a Song of Seasons when my daughter was in kindergarten, when she was in 1st grade, and halfway through 2nd grade I just kind of stopped doing it for some reason. I don't know why. The book is just large and I got sick of moving it back and forth. It doesn't fit over here on my shelf very well with all my other big books, so I need to figure that out for next year. Especially with my son, I think it's important for him. So I guess we'll see how that works. I did add in sight words for her recently. I printed a bunch of sight words, and I think it's building her confidence, not necessarily that I want her to remember them as sight words. I don't want her learning sight words. I purposely went with All About Reading so she did not have sight words. However, the sight words are words she already learned how to decode in All About Reading, and they're all words she's seen before but haven't seen since All About Reading level 1. So I just use them as a way to re-encourage her how many words she really does know, because she gets overwhelmed really easily and she gets defeated really easily. So if she feels like she doesn't know enough, she starts to shut down, and language arts reading is difficult for her. And my assumption is she's dyslexic like I am, but I've never had her tested. And we also assume she has ADHD like me and Adam do, but we also have never had her tested because it doesn't really change anything at this point in her life. It's not a priority, I guess. At some point we should probably get her tested, know for sure what we're dealing with. But my assumption is, though, that the dyslexia is causing the problem with the reading. It's what caused me having problems with reading when I was a kid. She still messes up her B's and her D's and her P's a lot, which is my biggest thought too, that she's definitely dyslexic. We've had her eyes checked, all that. That has been done. She's definitely got perfect eyesight. She doesn't need glasses yet, but she does definitely still have some dyslexia, I'm assuming is what's causing the problem with decoding and remembering words, because she'll see like the word of, and sometimes she says of, sometimes she says for, sometimes she says from, like she's just flopping stuff in her brain. So my assumption is it's dyslexia. She's seeing everything in a 3D picture, and it's a lot easier to turn things around and forget what's what. But that does make her a really good logical thinker. She's very good at things like the grid block game that we've been doing. I mean, she's got her strengths because of it. I had dyslexia. I have many strengths from it. But reading is not one of the greatest things. But once you can read, the great thing about having dyslexia is it basically is a movie in your brain. You see and hear everything that you're being read in the book. You basically, the words melt away, and I have trouble remembering if something I read was a movie or a book when it's been more than a year or two. Sometimes if it was a really, really good book, I forget pretty quickly if it was a book or a movie that I watched, because my brain processes them the same exact way. I see a picture and the sound and the monologue, and each characters have their own name, their own sounds, and it's just a whole production that my brain has put on, which is awesome. Once you learn how to read, it develops a whole new world for reading. My husband has told me that his ADHD brain does not do that, and he kind of wishes it did. He said it would make reading way more cool. We'll see where she is and how she goes. So far, I think she's doing better than I did at her age, so we'll see. Geography, we use Evan Moore's Geography. We're basically most of the way through that. But like I said, this was a collaboration with Devine from Calm in the Chaos and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. I will have the playlist link below. If you got this far, I really appreciate you listening to me ramble. Please let me know if you have any questions for me, and I will talk to you guys later.